This is the Lichtman Live Post Show, the greatest post show that's ever existed on planet Earth. Thank you all for joining me. I see Suzanne in the chat. Good evening from Asbury Park. Good evening to you, Suzanne. The libertarian hath returned. Michael Nightwolf is here. One big, beautiful post show. That's right, Baron. Anthony says, hello from Ohio. We are live, Abe. Hello, Susie J. Carrion in New York. Is the July 4th protest still happening? I'm not up on my protesting. I sort of got disillusioned with protesting in 2016, so I haven't really been up on that this time around. Hello, Douglas Jordan Clark Vergara. Vladimir says, hello from Columbus, Ohio. Good eve. Well, good eve to you. Well, hello and good eve. Norman Buchwald. Are you German, Norman? Amber Owens just posted a blue goat emoji. I like that. That's a cool emoji. Freddie says, the only protest that truly matters is on election day. You know what, Freddie? I feel that. Norman is from California. Well, so you're Native American? Yo, RV Davey. Shout out RV Davey. Philip H. Shout out to Philip H. Dems have a better shot at winning the Texas Senate race than the one in Maine. I don't know how true that is. I mean, it's still so early, but I guess you never know, right? I mean, it's early, but it's also, there's sometimes just math, you know, there's just no way beating sometimes some math, you know. Do you think Gavin will win his Fox News lawsuit? I don't know enough about it to make that call. I'm trying to remember now. I'm not even sure what it's about. The GOP will be cooked if they lost Texas to the Dems. Yeah. I'm not optimistic about Dems winning Texas, but crazier things have happened. Have you ever considered a live hangout where others can join the stream? As a math lecturer, I appreciate being able to ask your dad questions that maybe I couldn't ask my colleagues on campus. How do we do that? Via Zoom? Or that sounds like a cool idea. Austin says, is it just me, or do I lose more and more hope of having any future? I just don't see how things can improve. The good news is most of these provisions can be fixed in 2028. At least that's my understanding. So even though Trump is doing damage, for real, it can be fixed in a few years. StreamYard, I'm not sure what that is. Midterms, a measuring stick? Sure, to some extent. I wouldn't put all your eggs in the midterms back and say, oh, if Dems crush in the midterms, they're guaranteed the White House in 28. It's like, it's like dipping your toe in, you know what I mean? That's what the midterms feel like to me. VDO Ninja is a software web client that does that type of chat. Okay, Keep that in mind. Video Ninja. Video Ninja. I just wrote their theme song. If Trump's 14th Amendment executive order passes, does that make him not a citizen and therefore ineligible for president? If so, how is he removed? I think, again, all that executive order will do is cause chaos, and the people in power, the Trump administration, will just pick and choose who falls under protection and who doesn't. I would imagine, I mean, if you're rich and powerful, it's not, you're fine, right? So someone like Trump is not going to fall under any sort of real persecution from that. It's mostly going to be lower to middle income people who don't have the right paperwork, who don't have the resources, et cetera, et cetera. Back says no gold citizen cards. I agree, but that's where we're heading right now, at least in the short term. Again, the Supreme Court can bail us out, but they've got to rule on the executive order itself and if it's constitutional or not. And until then, who the heck knows what's going to happen? So did you see Trump threatening Musk with deportation? I think I heard about it, yeah. I've said this, I'll say it again. Let him go at it. Let him go at it. Love to see it. The more they fight, the better for me and you. Suzanne says, Sam, I'm really worried about all of this. I'm a little worried, for sure. I try to stay optimistic and try not to fall into a pit of despair. But it's certainly concerning. But I hold out hope that most of this can be reversed eventually. Maeve 1850 says, honestly, I don't think we will be able to repair our foreign relations with prior allies. I think we'll take another generation or two. Too much distrust now. How can they ever trust us again? I think a lot of foreign relations have to do with the president and the people they put into high levels of the government, the Secretary of State. So, if we get someone in 28 that's respectful and respected, I think foreign policy can turn around quickly. Because I feel like a lot of it just falls on the president's personality, really. As simple as that may sound, I feel like there's some truth to it. Could you comment on the super chat I sent at the end of your dad's stream, Elon primary Republicans? Again, go for it, Elon. Please do it. Please. Because if he creates some sort of third party or some subsect of the Republican Party, at the end of the day, it's just going to probably mostly glean Republican votes. So Elon, do your thing, brother. Freddie says, I'm not holding my breath for the midterms. Dem leadership sucks and they need to go. That is true. I don't have any confidence in this Dem leadership group. And they could easily F this all up. Why would they make any deals with us knowing we can go batshit crazy in 4 years like a MAGA and not abide by any of our promises? That's a fair point, but you could say that about any country in the world. Any country in the world can get a leader or a political movement can rise quickly and things can change quickly. Countries are going to have to deal with America. They can't just ignore us. Unless there's someone like Trump who purposefully retreats America from the global stage. If a new president comes in and wants to reinsert ourselves, people are going to have to listen. There was a lag. There are lied to our B-2 bombers. That too, Spencer. I mean, that's sort of my point in that the world can't... If America wants to be part of world affairs, the world can't really ignore America. You know what I'm saying? How many likes? Only 38 likes. Come on, guys. How come I hold my mic? Because this desk here is like the worst designed desk on planet Earth. And there's like this little tiny hole that I can put my legs through, and the rest of the desk has these big cupboards on the right and left. So there's really nowhere to put a mic stand comfortably, and I can't attach my arm because this desk is old and just doesn't have a proper place to attach it. And I want the audio to be good, so I just hold it. Thanks for liking the stream, Michael Nightwolf. Sam equals based. What does that mean exactly? Thank you, Robert. I appreciate you saying I'm based. Google's AI overview told me that buying an election is another example of stealing an election. I think those are two different things. They're both bad, but they're different. Dude, you seem tired. I am a little tired, yeah. I had my friends visiting from California here over the last 5 days, and we just did everything possible. Because one of them had never even been to DC before, so we just hit like everything that needed to be hit, in a 5-day period in DC. And then I think I just was wound up. Like, I was tired that whole time, and I was so wound up from it that like last night I couldn't really sleep. So I'm a little tired. Documenting America says next Democratic leader is someone rising and relatively unknown now. Who is the sleeper that will rise up? The only person that I feel really enthusiastic about that's really young is AOC. I think maybe there's some people somewhere more middle-aged that could maybe rise up, like maybe a John Ossoff or a Raphael Warnock. But we'll see. Sam, do you ever look at all these developments and think, what a joke? All the time. Got any predictions for big policy that Trump will do in the rest of his term? I think he's going to rule from executive order until the midterms and then just spend the last 2 years complaining about the Democrats. And this is obviously going to be his big, legislative achievement. I don't think he's going to do anything legislatively beyond this. Because at the end of the day, I don't think he really wants to. I think he wants to rule through executive order. Hey, Sam, just wanted to let you know that the Discord has been infiltrated by right-wing extremists. Oh, gosh. That's not good. I honestly have no clue what's happening in that Discord. Yikes. Freddie says Trump will be at the golf course the remainder of his term. I agree with that. He'll be playing a lot of golf. Sam, grow it out a lot longer and then donate to wigs for kids. I've done it twice. Need at least 12 to 14 inches. I'm not trying to grow my hair that long. I'll just give them a cash donation if that, you know what I mean? It's Brian at you. How would the keys take into account a primary winner stepping down or dying? I don't think it would handle that scenario very well. Trump is staying dead center with his Project 25. Yeah. Pretty much just following that playbook. There's a lot of right-wingers in the Discord because the mods have been perpetrating it. That's not good. So did Elon help rig the 24 election? How does that change things if it comes out that 24 is invalid. I don't know if he rigged the 24 election. I haven't seen any evidence of it. I've seen the sketchiest thing to me are just the words of him and Trump about, Elon saying Trump wouldn't have won without him, Trump saying that he understands all the computers, but that's not proof, Yeah, I'm not going full metal hair. No shot. I've tried to grow my hair out, and every time I just get annoyed with it, and it gets annoying, and I'm just like, cut it now. Patrick, please send an email to the channel's email with this information about the Discord. Thank you, Allan Lichtman. Joe says, I don't trust anything Elon Musk says, really. He made up all that nonsense about USAID. I don't take anything he says seriously. Even if he was like, I rigged the election, I would still be like skeptical. I'm like, why are you coming out and saying, you know what I mean? He's just such a bad actor, bad faith actor. It's hard to take anything he says seriously. Even if you would personally agree with what he was saying, Like, do I really think he's going to primary every Republican? When push comes to shove, I don't think he's actually going to do that. I don't think he has the attention span to really do something like that, honestly. Politics is slow and long and can be really boring sometimes. And it's not space travel and it's not electric cars, Emily says, the dark Brandon Discord was ruined by right-wingers too. The goons spam communist and pedo stuff on it. What a sad waste of time. Well, if there's any crazy SHIT like that happening, send an email like Savannah or Allan Lichtman said. We got to nip that in the bud. Nambi says, I think Elon will fade out of the political picture. I kind of agree. It kind of feels like he's already kind of faded out of the political picture. But he likes to poke his head in. Again, politics is a long, slow, boring game. He might pop his head in 26 at the last minute or 28 in the last minute and just try to throw a lot of gasoline on the whole situation and light a match and see what happens, Sam Lichtman is a finalist? A finalist of what? Governing is boring too, exactly. And government is just boring. I think that's part of the reason why he was so unsuccessful with Doge. It just didn't fit his personality at all. Elon has $270 million worth of reasons to not fade from politics. Let me be clear. I don't think he's going to, let politicians F over his companies. But do I think he's going to spend all his time and energy, running House members in Iowa and Texas and Senator? No, I don't think he's going to spend his time doing that. Could I be wrong? Yes. One thing I will always admit, I can be wrong. And I have been wrong and I will be wrong. Missy says, I've been wearing an anti-Trump hat in public in South Carolina. Wow, that's bold. It's helping me deal with my anxiety. That's interesting. I would think it would add anxiety, but maybe, hey, if it works, it works. Do you think Elon is smart? I think smart is such a general term. I think he's really good at certain things and really bad at other things. Like most humans, everybody has their strengths and weaknesses. I usually get wary when people say, Elon Musk did this, therefore we should trust him with all these other things. I think Doge pretty much proved that. $270 million was the price tag he paid to buy the election for Trump. $270 million ain't nothing for him, though. Philip H. says, Elon's really good at buying people's companies and pretending he invented them. Exactly. President Colletti says, the political industrial complex cannot be sustained any longer. I agree with you. Are you confident in the 26th North Carolina Senate seat? I wouldn't say confident, but more hopeful than I was a week ago. You know what I'm saying? How many likes we got? Yep, there's a post show. Here we are. What do you think of Mamdani? I think that I am hopeful with Mamdani. I haven't delved super deep into him, but on the surface level, I feel some hope with his election. But only time will tell. Thanks for watching from Canada, Summer. Who are the two House Republicans you think will most likely fight the budget? God, there's so many people in the House. I don't know. Stephen K. says, North Carolina's Tillis seat is a wrap, going blue. Wow. Sam, you don't feel Mamdani is too socialist? Maybe a tad, but I'm willing to go in that direction, maybe too far, to see what happens. Because we've been hearing about how great this democratic socialist platform is. Let's see if it works. Mamdani is about the working class people, and he's not a liberal like some people casually toss around without knowing SHIT. Yeah, I think right now a lot of people are throwing a lot of crap out about Mamdani that might not be true. And that is not true. I mean, I certainly don't believe in communism, right? I mean, I feel like communism is just a different form of oligarchy and authoritarianism. So, certainly don't believe in that. There are a lot of socialist ideologies that I feel fond of. So if he moves forward with some of those, I'd be happy. He might be going too far left. Maybe. Jay Carrion says, I would rather be a socialist than a callous bigot xenophobe. I agree with you. Bernie's been all about Dem socialism for 40 years. Yeah, but he hasn't really been able to do much about it. I mean, I guess he was the mayor of Burlington, and Burlington, I don't know when exactly he was the mayor, and I don't even think I was alive then, but Burlington seems like a cool place. But it's also, if left-wing policies and the far left-wing policies start working in a place like New York City, that's going to change a lot. And I think part of the issue is so many people on the right throw the word communism and radical socialism around so much that we can't even have a, rational conversation about some left-wing policies. Freddie says, Americans need to educate themselves about socialism. There are many aspects of our system that have some form of socialism. Absolutely. The government collects taxes to make investments. That's social. Right. I agree with you. Aren't you worried about Mamdani's soft on crime policy and defund the New York Police Department? I don't know. Has hard on crime policies worked? I don't know. I haven't studied that recently, but I feel like when I was growing up, a lot of discussion about cities that were really hard on crime didn't have lower crime. Wolf says crime is a result of poverty. Exactly. That's a very good point. I think there's a lot of really common sense policy that the right instantly calls communists and socialists, and we can't even have a discussion about it. You know what I mean? And I'm just sick of that. Summer says, I fully support Mom Donnie. It's really time for a change, particularly for us young people. I think that's a fair point. Mom Donnie's policy prescriptions are incredibly popular. Will Trump deport American citizens? I bet this will be his next gig. I don't know. I think what he'll do is he'll find ways to start stripping people of their citizenship and then deporting them. I mean, speaking of Mom Donnie and Trump, didn't he say that today that, you know, he was like, well, some people are saying that, you know, Mom Donnie is here illegally. It's like he's going to start being real sketchy about certain people's citizenship and then try to strip it away and then deport them. I think that's a real possibility. Do I think he's just going to pick citizens off the street and deport them? Not on purpose. I'm sure they'll do it by accident. Todd says, the right seems to have an unrealistic view of life. Yeah, I feel that. I feel that. I especially don't understand the right's incorporation of Christianity. Like, it just seems the way they incorporate Christianity into their political lives seems so hypocritical and seems so far away from anything that any New Testament writings say. I don't get that. And for a while I was like, well, you know, they'll elect anybody who puts their policy at the top of the agenda, right? So it's like a lot of conservative Christians really care about abortion, right? So Trump came out, and he's not even that far right on abortion either. But like for a while I was just like, well, they'll support anybody who represents their perspective or their policy agenda. But it's like, there's levels to this. There are plenty of conservative people out there that are not as morally bankrupt as Trump. And why do evangelical Christians in America go so crazy for Donald Trump? Because again, there are plenty of right-wing politicians they could put their power behind who are not as morally compromised as Trump. And for some reason they don't. And I don't get that. Tashdid says, by the way, I don't care about Mom Donnie. I hope he does well, but we've seen this surge of optimism before, and most of them have failed in the long run to clarify their position when push came to shove. Can you give me a more concrete example than that? Missy says, I asked a Catholic why she supported Donald Trump. She said Donald Trump is going to bring us back to our roots as a Christian nation. Right, but there are so many other right-wing politicians who also will do that. Probably do it more effectively and also not have the baggage, the moral or immoral baggage that Trump has. Hello? You all right, Dad? Wait, that's not going to close like that. Okay. My doggy's here. Hi, Bubby. Sam, it's simple. People are beyond uneducated. Maybe that's true. Maybe it's just I don't know. That's not rocket science, though. I don't know. My dog's licking me. Are you and Allan concerned about Adams, Mamdani, Cuomo fight? Handing New York to Republicans? No. That Republican dude is a joke. There's no shot he's gonna win. Namby says false prophets, they hijack religion. That's true. Bernie ran on universal health care and didn't have a real plan. Obama ran on the vibe of progressivism and said he'd walk the picket line. Then he pushed back saying he doesn't kowtow to activists. Well, I don't know. We never really got to see, obviously we never got to see Bernie in action. So it's hard to say about Bernie. Yeah, I agree that Obama seemed like this great progressive candidate and maybe wasn't as progressive as many people thought he would be, but I think the ACA was pretty amazing, and I think he did about as best as he could as the first black president. That's sort of my perspective. Obama was not progressive. See, I don't know. I kind of take issue when people say that. Like, maybe in theory, in the end, he wasn't as progressive as people thought. But come on, guys. Like, he was pretty progressive. Sam, California is so far left and progressive, and these policies have inflationary. The thing about California that's interesting is I've been studying a lot about California. California is progressive and really progressive in some ways and really not progressive in other ways. There's huge red tape in California. There's massive amounts of issues with NIMBYism and issues just like facing, like, it's California's a little bit of an oligarchy. It's sort of run and controlled by the rich. So while there are certainly very progressive policies in California, there are also a lot of policies that keep the rich rich, that keep NIMBYism alive, and that keep a lot of red tape in place that sort of stifles progress. Like, I was reading the Ezra Klein book Abundance, and like they've been trying to get this is supposed to be the most progressive rich state, and they've been trying to get high-speed rail in that state forever, and they just can't do it. So I don't buy this idea that, like, look at California, they're so progressive and they're failing. It's like, I don't think California is a true model of progressivism. Why can't I say that word? Progressivism. You know what I'm trying to say. Kiko 2028, I agree. Progressive. Why can't I say that? All right, I'm getting progressivism. Fuck. All right, I just faded. I just felt my fells go. I'll leave you with this. California is not as progressive as you think. If Mamdani can really help turn around New York City, it will help the progressive movement, maybe even a socialist movement in America. If he fails, it will ruin it. And let's not forget either that he hasn't even won the election yet. Progressivism. Thank you, Fry. Jesus Christ. And my other thing is, Obama at heart was a progressive. When he became the first black male president, he was faced with such an uphill battle, he had to lose some of his progressive ideology. And he had to play politics hard. And in the current state of America, at the time of Obama, he couldn't play the full progressive president that he really wanted to. He couldn't be FDR. Just wasn't possible. The first black president has too many obstacles to become FDR, Maybe the third black president will become the next FDR, you know what I mean? But not Obama. But without Obama, there won't be a third. There won't be a fourth. Remember that. Remember to let it into your heart, and you can. All right, I'm signing off. I'm gonna go chill. I will see you guys all on Thursday, and we will have fun, and we will have Lichtman Live, and we will have the Lichtman Live post show. And everybody will go like, yeah, let's go, the Lichtman Live post show. Yeah, let's go, the Lichtman Live post show. Did I just come up with a theme song for the post show? Yeah, let's go, the Lichtman Live post show. Yeah, let's go, the Lichtman Live post show. Yeah, let's go, the Lichtman Live post show.